somewhere. Somebody did that for me. Thanks, whoever did that. What's going on, guys? Evan Melchior here. Super excited for the Thursday team training call. We have a superstar producer on the call. We have Brittni Jarrett. Hopefully I said that all right. Who
guys.
Hall of Famer twice? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I think were you the number one female producer last year?
I was 2021.
Yeah. Awesome. So we actually have our agency, well, Kiefer's most specifically, there's a lot of female agents that have been rolling and having success, and really wanted to get you on for, it's a big reason, but also obviously you were not just top female producer, you were like 7 or 8 in the entire company, maybe even higher than that. But if you want to just, for the people who don't know you, real quick, the basic like minute long of how, like what you're doing before FFL and how long you've been with FFL.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks, Evan and Kiefer over in Alaska for having me on today. So I've been here, let's see, if it's flown by so fast, but actually going on almost 2.5 years now. Before Family First Life, I'd done, like the college deal for dental hygiene. I was like a pet rover sitter, really into dogs for a bit. And then I started having kiddos. And I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. So I was basically solely a stay-at-home mom for about 4 or 5 years. So just chasing little kiddos around, doing that full-time job thing with kids. And my husband at the time was in like the CBD industry, which was like a big booming deal over here in Colorado. That actually tanked right about the time that I stumbled upon the ad on Indeed for FFL. So that's I'm a cold market hire off of Indeed. Just was kind of cruising around looking locally to see like, hey, what can I do? Is there anything part-time that I can kind of have a flexible schedule and still be a mom at the same time? And I saw like some ad that Zach T had posted, and it was like life producer, we'll help you get your license, make over 6 figures your first year. And I was like, this definitely does not sound legitimate whatsoever. It's like a little nerve-wracking, but I didn't really have anything to lose at that point. So I went ahead, got my license. It took way too long to do that. I think I was in the course for like 3 weeks or something ridiculous, because I just didn't know that it was like a legitimate, I didn't see the potential at that point. So got through, obviously passed my license, and here I am.
Heck yeah. And so you'll be 3rd-time Hall of Famer this year?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you still selling full-time?
I am. So I'm a weekend warrior pretty much solely right now, because I'm trying to work on the building side too a little bit more this year than I have the past 2 years. So I mainly run my production on Saturdays and Sundays. So if you're not working on the weekends, you're definitely missing out on a ton of families and, a ton of income that you can help your family with too. So I'm pretty much running, like I said, Saturday and Sundays this year.
Awesome. So you hit vice president, right?
Yes. Yep. We hit VP about a year ago. We've been right around that 250 mark for a bit.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
What, I like to dive into, the most basic things, but, lead flow and schedule. Obviously, let's go back to kind of when you were in the field full time and kind of figuring everything out. Cause you mentioned you saw the potential about how 6-figure income, right? Obviously you smoked that your first year, second year, probably doubled what you did your first year, dang near. So I remember we met, you were at the Kansas City convention. That was your first, both of us had kind of wrapped up.
That was my second. Yeah. Cause the first convention I went to was actually the one in Vegas. Okay. And I got licensed right after that. That was like when I really was like, okay, this is legit. Like, this is awesome.
I think you and I literally started at like the same time then, because Ty dragged me to the Vegas convention too. And we like kind of sold a couple policies here and there, but really hadn't like taken it serious at that point yet. But
that's cool.
Well, what did your schedule look like as you started and as you went on those big runs of helping like 650 families in a year?
Yeah. So I think, I struggle with the same thing that a lot of new agents struggle with, is just like the mindset and believing in yourself and like going in and focusing on like the result and investing in your business. Right. So I struggled with that a lot in the beginning. I was definitely guilty of not being consistent with my schedule. I like to say treated it more like a hobby and not like a business, because I would like run maybe 2 or 3 appointments a week and like buy a batch of 25 leads and try to call the same 25 people for like 3 weeks and then wonder why it's like so hard to try to book a full-time schedule. So I would say probably for like, honestly, like the first 3 months, that's kind of how I operated. I think the February actually that we went to the convention in Vegas, I was all stoked because it was like, I wrote 13K that month and I was like, yes, I did 13K this month. But it really wasn't until I honestly just like dove off, invested like right after I got back from annual convention, February of that year, February of 2020, I actually went and I purchased the biggest lead order I ever had to that date. And I didn't have the money to do that. I split it between 2 different credit cards. It was Game Time and Happy Agent, which I primarily ran my first year. And I crossed my fingers, pray to God, like, hey, this has to work. I remember being super uncomfortable reaching out to other people that were in the business at that time and just having them reassure me like, hey, this is good. Like, you want to buy leads, you have to have leads or you're not gonna have business. So, after that point, I really just put my head down. I went to work. I started being consistent, dialing Mondays and Thursdays. Every Monday and Thursday I was on with a group. If you're not in the office, we all have Zoom dials. That's really important. I think just setting myself up with that schedule of like, this is not negotiable. I'm not going to be jacking off and doing like things that aren't money producing activities during dial time. That was the most detrimental thing that I think I was doing the first 3 months that I switched month 4. And then just making sure I did not leave my space or my workspace until I had a full schedule set. And by full schedule, I mean at least 15 to 20 appointments for the following 2 days. So you're just setting yourself up for success out in the field, because the worst thing you can do is go out and set 3 appointments and 2 of them no show you, and you have 1 no sell, and then you're just sitting in your car going out trying to door knock. And like, there's nothing wrong with door knocking. I'm just not a huge fan of it, especially when we have the lead availability that we do. There's no reason why you can't spend more time on the phone and like set legitimate appointments up too. So I think those are the biggest things for me, was just structure, not negotiable for dial time. So making sure, even if you're not full-time or if you're part-time, that you have that dedicated time and you're literally not letting anything at all in the world interfere with that time. If that does happen, you're basically going to kind of set yourself up for failure, because if you're not spending the time to set the appointments, you're not going to have the families to go out and serve.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing, like personally with, the agents that we've seen come and go and our agency specifically, it's like, I wish I could just preach more to people about the importance of just like, please treat it like a job. Like I remember when I started, it was always, I would like trick myself a little bit, as in like, if I wasn't dialing the phones at 8:00, I was going to be fired. Right. Or that's just what I used to try to tell myself. Or if I wasn't dialing the phone at 8:00, Ty and Brent, like they'd be mad at me or disappointed in me, whatever. I just kind of play little games with my head in that aspect of it. Do you have any tips of like anything you've always done to, because we all have days where we wake up and it's like, it's a crappy day, whether it's the weather's crappy or we just don't want to get out of bed. We planned on coming to the office to dial, but we woke up that morning and we just were feeling off. Do you have any specific tips as far as like, how do you just get going and just make it happen?
I think, guys, it's important to sit down and determine why you're wanting to do this in the first place, because that's really going to be the driving factor that keeps you moving on days that aren't always sunshine and rainbows, right? Because, I mean, there's days in the field. Sometimes we have dial days that way. But I think just having that foundation to build on, I mean, it's the same as the in-home process. We know if we don't have a foundation to build value on, it's not going to work very well for us. And I think the business as a whole, is similar to that. It's like, if we don't have like a direction or we don't have small goals, I think it's important to sit down structurally. And this is something, again, I didn't do in the beginning, but just set down small daily goals for yourself and figure out what direction you're wanting to go, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're self-employed. If you don't have direction, you're basically just wandering lost. You know what I mean? So I think the biggest advice would just be, keeping up a positive mindset, sitting down and figuring out, hey, like, why am I in this industry? what is my driving force for me? Like, I'm a mom, like I mentioned before, I would do anything for both my kids, and I want to make sure that they're set up financially and there's nothing that I ever have to say, I'm sorry, like we can't do that, or I can't provide this to you. So on my bad days, like that's always the driving force in the back of my mind. And just knowing that I would jump through fire, do anything I possibly can for my two kids. So it's really, if we get cussed out on the phone or we get no showed, like it's not really that big of a deal. And I think like positive reinforcement. So as corny as it sounds, like I'm a firm believer of just like, even though you may not feel it at the moment, just like telling yourself like, hey, today's going to be an awesome day. Like everyone I talk to, they're waiting for me to call them. Like they literally know that Brittni's going to call them today. They're going to set an appointment with me. They're going to be super nice. They're going to be super happy. I'm going to fill my schedule up super quick. So it's just like constantly telling yourself like these positive thoughts and trying to drown out that negativity that we all have that can creep up sometimes in our head. Because what happens, when we allow negativity to creep in is negativity breeds more negativity. So then before you know it, it's just like a domino effect of, a train wreck. So yeah. I think, just the mindset, and then figuring out, write it down on a piece of paper, stick it in your office in front of your face every day, and like figure out, why are you even wanting to do this in the first place?
Yeah, that reminds me of, the story is ridiculous, but so I don't know if you know that Kiefer has an older brother who's been selling, and he's been with us for a few months. He's got a good chance to hit Hall of Fame in his first year here. He's
nice.
been 20, 30, 40 families a month. And we have a group chat. Kiefer and Kaylor is her older brother. She doesn't join in on the fun much, but we started this thing where, and we don't do it every day, almost every day, where one of the first things we do when we wake up is we send this ridiculous audio message to each other. And we're just like, good morning, it's gonna be a great day today. Let's go make it happen. We just do stuff like that. I feel like that's,
yeah. Just getting your mind right. And like you brought up a good point there too, though, Evan. It's like, reaching out and connecting with other people in this business is also really important, because I do feel like it can become very lonely, and you're definitely more apt to get inside your head if you don't communicate with other people. Like keep yourself in check, you know what I mean? And you have to realize that we all are human, and we all go through the similar situations that we're experiencing in this business with no shows or whatever that negativity may be. And I think like it's important to know that you're not alone, and have that system in place where you can reach out, and you have people like, your brother-in-law and things, or it's your actual brother, you said, right? Because
Kiefer's brother.
Okay. Yeah. So like just, having that connection there to keep each other kind of in check is really important too.
Are you competitive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very much so. I'm like a 20 out of a 10.
Yeah.
I'm ridiculous.
I
mostly with myself. Like I beat myself up.
Okay. Because that's another thing, I know personally, at least when I was like selling full time and, always striving for the top of the leaderboards or whatever it was, I feel like that was a big thing that helped me stay accountable to my schedule and everything. Is I saw in the Slack or the Discord that other people say that I was trying to beat were dialing every Monday, Thursday. I just wasn't going to let them go ahead.
You were like having some competitions with like Easton and stuff there too, right? And it just makes it fun too, like it keeps
I'm done doing competitions with Easton. He won some money off me the first time I messed with him on that. But I'm just trying to find somebody to, kind of chase.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kiefer's actually on here. I know she's got a bunch of appointments today, but I definitely know, last year that was her goal, was to try to become, the top female producer. And I think she ended 3 or 4.
Nice. She's a beast.
Good run for her money. And
that's her first year too, right? Yeah, that's insane.
So yeah, I don't know. What have you seen? Because how many agents do you have a part of your group?
I have 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah.
From your experience, what's been the challenges that you've seen, like new agents get off their feet? Well, yeah, I'll start with this. So brand new agents getting rolling, and then now that they're producing, they're helping 20, 30, 40 families a month consistently. What do you think? Actually, scratch the first part of what I just said. So you have somebody who's selling 20, 30, 40 grand a month. Now they're trying to get to the next level of whether they want to sell 50-60 or whether they want to start to, long-term, they want to build an agency, they want to get a group going with them, whether it's from your personal experiences or what you've seen with agents that are part of your group. Is there any kind of tips you have for taking it to the next level?
Yeah, I think mindset again is a key player, like in this entire business. I think that's one of the most important factors secondary to activity. So like figuring out again, like, hey, where do I want to take this? And then let's break this down day by day and see how I can get there. Because I remember Zach talked about like 400,000. It sounds like a lot, but if you actually break it down per day, per week, like it's not as heavy as you really think it is. It's not really that challenging if you can break it down into smaller, more attainable goals. And before you know it, you've surpassed that or whatever you want to do. So I think it's important, first just having the mindset, having the why again. And then like, guys, you can literally do anything you want to do with activity. So all it is, like, if you're wanting to go from a 20K a month producer to a 40K a month producer, it's just amping up what you did to get to 20K, right? So you're just going to have to have more leads and more activity. And we've seen that. I've seen that a lot. Like, there's a few guys on our team. I mean, even if you're not really good at home, I mean, there's guys that go out and run 46, 50 appointments a week, and they go out and crush it and write, they help 20 families in a week, just a matter of activity. So I think as long as you can keep a positive mind, figure out what's driving you, and then sit down, focus, and figure out, break it down for yourself. Like, where are you wanting to go, or get with somebody that's been there and done that. And like, the thing for me was like, once I protected 40 families in a month, it's like, once you hit that goal, you can keep doing it again because you know what it took to do that. Right. So I think it's just, again, a matter of just having the leads, having enough people to dial, and being consistent. So, staying consistent week in and week out. Cause you can't, write a ton of business one week and like take 2 weeks off. Like, that's just not going to help you get to producing helping 40, 50 families a month doing that.
Right. Do you have, well, one thing I love that you said is, reaching out to people that have done it. That's like the most obvious thing in the world, but some people just, I don't know if they're afraid to ask for help or what it is, but like, we've all been through essentially the same things. Like, we've seen 99% of the same, like, in-home situations, scenarios, ups and downs, whatever it is. So we have so many resources to learn from that end of things. Let's talk about in-home real quick. Are you like some monster 90% closing ratio in the home, or where are you at with that?
I close a lot of the people. I don't like being told no. I'll just say that. So I like to make sure that I try to protect the family the best I can when I'm in the home. Cause I think something that's always resonated with me was something Paul McLean once said in a training. And he said, if you treat every family like they weren't going to wake up the following day that you sat with them, how would you treat that appointment? And I think that I go into every single appointment having that mindset, and I'm prepping my mind before I get to that appointment. Like, I'm visualizing me literally walking out happily, like knowing that I've protected them, and literally just telling yourself, like, I'm going to put a policy in place. They're going to be super nice. Same kind of thing with the phones, right? Just prepping your mind, getting your mind right before you arrive at that house. And a lot of times I think like our minds are so powerful, we can actually kind of control the situation a bit just by visualizing what we want to take place, right? That's huge, because then that's also going to allow you to have confidence in home, just knowing that, hey, you're the one with the license. That was probably a game changer for me, because when I first started, I was nervous, of course, like most probably new agents are. Like, I was super uncomfortable. I thought the concept of going to random stranger's house was a little weird. Like, I was super nervous about it. But it's like, once I finally realized like the importance of it, and I think like after I got my first death claim, especially, like everything just came to light of how important what we actually do is. And like, if we mess it up in the house, we could potentially not ever have another opportunity, or they may never sit with anybody else that's going to give them, have the opportunity to put that protection in place for their family. So I just approach it, Evan, with that mindset and being very assumptive, like, hey, they literally invited a random stranger over to their house, which to me, like I said, is still to this day, it's a little baffling, like the concept of it in a way, if you think about it, so it's like, they know that they needed it that bad that they, took the time out of their day, and now I'm at their house. And so you just need to be driven and confident in the fact, like I said, that you are the doctor, they're the patient, telling them what they're going to do today, like just being very assumptive with them. Cause it's like, if you were to go into, have a surgery and the doctor doctor told you like, hey, like I've never tried this before, but I'll give it a whirl, like you wouldn't be comfortable probably working with him. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's not necessarily even sometimes how you set your structure, what you say, it's your energy and what you're exerting as far as like, are you confident in your abilities? Like, are you really going to be there to fight for their family if they don't wake up tomorrow?
Yeah, I keep laughing at you saying, I don't like people saying no. So say we're in home. Are you getting like, say you get a no when you show them pricing? People are like, I got to think about it, or I don't think we need, I mean, do you have some like, no, I don't want this, Brittni?
I really don't get that a lot, Evan, because I think it's so important that we set the foundation in the beginning. You know what I mean? So I'm spending like, this is the first 5 to 10 minutes of that appointment. I'm just hammering with questions. Like, who would be picking up the pieces? Like, what prompted you to fill this out? Like, I'm assuming you're like most of the other clients I sit with, you want to make sure if you were to get sick or pass away, that your family's financially taken care of. Is that correct? So you're getting them to say yes, yes, yes. And you're just bombarding them with question after question until they're basically telling you how bad they actually need the insurance, because that's the close right there. You know, before I even show them pricing or before I even tell them who I am or get into a suitability sheet, I'm making sure there's a valuable reason why I'm even there. And in some circumstances where they're not, or like they're not even going to tell me like any information, I'm not afraid to say, hey, like I'm super busy. I've got a lot of clients out there that do, really, really care about protecting their families and making sure if something happens that everybody's taken care of. So if that's not important to you today, I'm actually going to have to go ahead and pack my stuff and I'm going to get on to the next family. And it's kind of crazy because sometimes when you let people know like, hey, I'm not here to play games today. Cause sometimes I feel like people do, like they just are bored or like, I don't know exactly what it is, but when you just like, lay the law down and say like, this is how it goes, this is what we're doing today. And if you're not going to cooperate, I can't help you. Like, if I don't have this information, I can't help you. You know what I mean? So I think if you can set it up in the intro where you're figuring out, again, look at it like a building. This is something I always visualize in my head is like looking at that why is the foundation of our building. So we can't build walls and we can't put a roof on that's going to sustain, like, I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my kids, or I have work insurance. Like all these objections we get thrown sometimes at the end is basically because we didn't create enough value in the beginning. So my advice would be, if you're getting a lot of that in home, and trust me, I've been there. I got a ton of that in the beginning. Like I was terrible. I didn't figure out for 3 months that you were actually supposed to even create value. I would just show them a price. I'd like, nope, let me think about it. And I didn't get an application for like 4 weeks doing that. So I just remember the day that clicked. It's like, okay, this is so important. Like, and if you can have them, if you're just, all you're trying to really do is you're trying to paint that visual picture they had in their head, because if you think about it, that lead, and that's the only thing I have between myself and the client. And that's what we're talking about is like, when they filled that out, like they were thinking about someone or something. So your job is to spend at least 5 to 10 minutes and figure out why you're even there, and if they're going to waste your time and it's not going to go anywhere, I'm not going to show them, pricing either, because I'm not a quote tool.
Yeah, I'm not a quote tool. So basically, I mean, it's just, if you are getting a lot of that stuff at the end, you're just not doing a good enough job of, figuring out why you're there. And everybody, like you said, they all filled it out for a reason.
Yeah. And I mean, till this day, like I still, sometimes I'll get like happy and like, I won't spend enough time there. You know what I mean? I'll take a surface level answer because I'm like, this is going to be a lay down or whatever. And then they'll hit me with, I need to think about it. And I'm like, dang it, I knew it. And like, you can almost always go back and like go through your process and figure out like where you messed it up. And instead of like, that's something that I tried to do a really good job about, especially when I was new and learning, is going back and trying to figure out how I can get better, and if you can approach it that way every single day to learn how to get 1% better and work on fixing yourself at the end of the day, it's going to be lights out and you're going to start helping a ton of families.
Right. So yeah, there's obviously, there's way too many success stories of people in all walks of this business, lead type, in-home location, whatever the situation is, right? It's just like, instead of trying to justify ourselves not being yet quite where we need to be, which is okay sometimes because we got to work our way there, but we start blaming other things other than ourselves early on. So that's powerful. That's cool. I dig it. I don't like to keep these more than, 25, 30 minutes. So I think we can keep this sucker up. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy. gonna smoke Hall of Fame for the third time this year. You're gonna. Do you know who the #1 female producer is of all time at FFL?
I honestly don't. It's what?
Career-wise, I'm saying, like.
I really don't, to be honest. I have no idea. I don't know if I issued, what I issued last year was or not. I'm not sure, actually.
So
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I think, within the next couple of years, whoever is at the top of the list can have a run for their money.
You got to get to 1,000 families helped a year. That'd probably be pretty good, near close to the top, I'd say.
Yeah, goodness. Well, cool. Thanks for hopping on. Really just appreciate your time and always love seeing you crushing it out there. And I'm excited for FFL strength to continue to grow. And I will see you on stage getting a red jacket. Red jacket again, Hall of Fame next year.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate having me on, and I hope somebody was able to take some things away and go out and apply them in the field tomorrow and kick butt and help a bunch of families.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for hopping on.
Good day.
See you guys soon.